The global spotlight turned sharply once again today as Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS and one of the most influential figures in music and fashion, was seen departing from Korea, bound for New York City. His airport appearance did not just serve as a casual travel moment, it was a carefully noted event that set social media into overdrive. The reason is clear. Calvin Klein, the American fashion powerhouse, is holding its much-anticipated New York Fashion Week event, and Jungkook's presence strongly signals that he will be a central figure in the showcase. From the moment he stepped into the airport, Jungkook embodied the very essence of Calvin Klein. Every piece he wore carried the brand's signature, from denim details to the minimalist yet bold silhouettes that Calvin Klein has become known for. This wasn't simply an idol traveling overseas. This was the merging of music's global superstar with a fashion label that has relied heavily on iconic personalities to elevate its vision. And in today's spectacle-driven culture, nothing captures attention more than Jungkook walking through an airport, dressed entirely in Calvin Klein, heading straight into the epicenter of fashion's most important week. The whispers started instantly. Will Jungkook walk the runway? Will he sit front row as the undeniable face of Calvin Klein's campaign? Or will the brand stage an unexpected performance moment, blending music and fashion in a way only Jungkook could deliver? These questions alone have set the industry buzzing. And if history is anything to go by, Calvin Klein and Jungkook have never settled for the ordinary. Their partnership, forged less than 2 years ago, has already created viral moments that rewrote how the public views both celebrity endorsements and high fashion campaigns. When Jungkook was first announced as the global ambassador for Calvin Klein, it wasn't just another brand idol collaboration. Calvin Klein has always been selective, choosing figures who embody cultural influence, not just fleeting popularity. From Kate Moss to Justin Bieber, the brand has consistently sought individuals who can define a generation's aesthetic. With Jungkook, Calvin Klein wasn't merely looking at Asia or even the K-pop scene, they were eyeing the world. Today's airport sighting confirms that their investment continues to pay off. His departure to New York signals his direct involvement in Calvin Klein's showcase during New York Fashion Week, an event where every detail is scrutinized by media, stylists, and cultural critics. Jungkook's attendance is not simply about being a guest. It represents the fusion of Korean global influence with Western fashion tradition, a cultural bridge that Calvin Klein is eager to emphasize on one of the most important stages in the industry calendar. And this is not the first time Jungkook's presence at a Calvin Klein event has sparked global conversation. His previous fashion show appearances delivered a level of attention that other brand ambassadors struggle to achieve. Photos of him seated front row, effortlessly wearing Calvin Klein, trended worldwide within minutes. Fashion critics praised his ability to embody the brand's essence while also bringing something uniquely his own, an aura that cannot be replicated by traditional models. The moment Jungkook appeared at the airport today, hashtags began dominating Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Korean platforms like Naver. Phrases such as Jungkook New York bound, Calvin Klein Fashion Week, and Airport King Jungkook shot to the top of trending lists within hours. Clips of him walking through the terminal, wearing Calvin Klein from head to toe, racked up millions of views in less than a day. It's not just his fashion choices that grab attention, it's the symbolism. Fans and media alike recognize that Jungkook is not flying halfway across the world simply to attend a show passively. There's always intention behind his movements. Calvin Klein understands this as well, which is why his journey to New York has already been woven into the larger narrative of the brand's upcoming showcase. This online frenzy matters more than ever in today's fashion landscape. Runway shows are no longer just about the select group of editors and buyers who sit in the audience. They are global live stream events, magnified by the presence of personalities like Jungkook, who guarantee global coverage before, during, and after the actual show. His single walk through an airport has generated more attention than some brands' entire seasonal campaigns. Now comes the burning question: how will Jungkook appear at Calvin Klein's New York Fashion Week show? The possibilities are endless. He may once again sit front row, a position traditionally reserved for the brand's most valued figures, where his presence alone validates the collection and places Calvin Klein at the top of global discussions. Or perhaps the brand has prepared something more daring. Could Jungkook walk the runway himself, blurring the line between idol and model in front of a world audience? Fashion insiders have speculated that Calvin Klein may aim for a crossover moment, something unforgettable that positions Jungkook not only as the face of their campaign, but as a cultural icon whose presence elevates the very essence of the show. Considering Jungkook's performance background, it's not far-fetched to imagine a moment where music and fashion collide, with him as the centerpiece. The pressure, however, is immense. Calvin Klein's past fashion shows featuring Jungkook already set a high bar, with critics labeling them game-changing and culturally defining. Audiences will inevitably compare whatever unfolds in New York to his previous appearances. But that, in itself, is the strength of Jungkook. He thrives under expectations and consistently delivers beyond what anyone imagines. One of the most intriguing angles heading into this event is how Jungkook will be perceived by the American fashion industry itself. American models, long accustomed to being the focus of New York Fashion Week, now face a new dynamic: the presence of a global superstar whose influence eclipses traditional roles. Will American models be surprised, perhaps even unsettled by the level of attention Jungkook commands? The reality is that while models are central to any show, few, if any, generate the type of online frenzy that Jungkook does with just a single appearance. His presence challenges the hierarchy of the fashion industry, proving that influence is no longer confined to runways and print campaigns. It now lies in the ability to merge artistry, celebrity, and digital impact into a singular force. For many in the American fashion scene, Jungkook represents a seismic shift. He is not a model by trade, yet his aura and cultural footprint surpass traditional boundaries. If Calvin Klein chooses to place him on the runway, it could redefine the role of celebrity involvement in fashion shows, showing that sometimes the most powerful figure is not the professional model, but the global icon who brings millions of eyes to the brand. As Jungkook's flight heads toward New York, speculation intensifies. Fashion analysts predict that Calvin Klein will build their show around bold minimalism, revisiting their signature denim and structured tailoring. The question, however, is how Jungkook will be integrated into this vision. Will he embody the collection as its ultimate muse, or will he serve as the public face while models carry the designs? No matter the direction, his presence ensures one thing: Calvin Klein's New York Fashion Week show will not be just another entry on the fashion calendar. It will be an event watched, dissected, and celebrated worldwide, largely because of Jungkook's involvement. His journey from Korea to New York has already written the first chapter of this story, and the world is eager for the next page. Today, with his journey to New York making headlines, Calvin Klein's strategy is once again proving successful. The world is not simply anticipating their fashion show. They are anticipating what Jungkook will do at their fashion show. This difference is critical. It means Calvin Klein has elevated their brand ambassador into the main attraction of one of the most competitive events in fashion. Fashion thrives on imagery, and Jungkook provides some of the most powerful images in modern pop culture. His past Calvin Klein campaigns, black and white photographs highlighting his physicality, intensity, and natural charisma, became instant viral phenomena. The imagery was simultaneously simple and unforgettable, a perfect example of how minimalism can carry maximum cultural weight. His airport appearance today added another layer to this narrative. Unlike glossy editorial shots, the candid nature of airport photos makes them accessible, almost democratic. Fans and media see him not as a distant model but as a real figure living within the Calvin Klein aesthetic. In other words, Jungkook doesn't just wear Calvin Klein for a photo shoot, he embodies it in everyday life. This blending of staged campaigns and real-life moments is part of what makes Jungkook so effective as an ambassador. His image is not confined to curated advertisements. It flows into the spontaneous and the unplanned. That very fluidity is what keeps him trending across multiple cultures, platforms, and industries. Fashion shows are carefully choreographed spectacles where every detail is meant to evoke a reaction. Yet, in recent years, the industry has struggled with predictability. Many shows follow similar patterns: a collection of looks, a thematic soundtrack, and a brief flurry of attention before audiences move on to the next brand. What makes Calvin Klein's upcoming New York Fashion Week show different is the promise of unpredictability. Jungkook is not a conventional fashion model, and his presence ensures that the audience, both in person and online, cannot predict how the brand will use him. Will he appear unexpectedly mid-show, breaking tradition? Will Calvin Klein leverage his musical background, perhaps combining performance with Runway? Or will they opt for restraint, letting his mere presence in the front row dominate headlines? This suspense is fueling discussions in both Korean and Western media. Fans on social platforms are creating theories, fashion insiders are speculating in columns, and critics are preparing their lenses for what could be one of the defining moments of this season's fashion calendar. For American models participating in New York Fashion Week, Jungkook's appearance is both inspiring and daunting. Traditionally, the spotlight of these shows belongs to the models themselves, who spend months preparing to showcase collections with precision. Yet, Jungkook's presence shifts the spotlight dramatically. Consider the difference in reach. While professional models may have dedicated fan bases or industry respect, Jungkook's single airport photo can garner more attention than an entire runway lineup. This doesn't diminish the skill of the models, it highlights the changing power dynamics in the fashion world. Influence is no longer tied exclusively to the runway. It is tied to cultural relevance, and Jungkook has it in abundance. There is also curiosity about how American models will personally react. Will they be surprised by the frenzy surrounding him? Will they view his involvement as a disruption to tradition or as an evolution that pushes fashion into new, global territory? Whatever the case, Jungkook's appearance forces the industry to re-examine its priorities and to recognize that cultural icons can sometimes outshine the very shows themselves. Historically, brand ambassadors often functioned as faces for campaigns appearing in magazines, television commercials, and billboards. Their role was relatively passive, limited to delivering the image the brand wanted to project. Jungkook changes that formula. He is not simply delivering Calvin Klein's message, he is creating it alongside them. His personal brand, rooted in artistry, dedication, and authenticity, merges seamlessly with Calvin Klein's identity, creating a partnership that feels organic rather than transactional. This is why his appearance at New York Fashion Week feels more significant than that of other ambassadors. He is not there as a guest. He is there as a partner whose influence dictates the scale of the event's success. Calvin Klein knows this, and the industry knows it too. With such influence comes pressure. Fans expect to be stunned, media expect a story, and the fashion world expects a moment that will live up to the hype. The weight on Jungkook's shoulders is considerable, but history has shown that he thrives under such pressure. From his performances on global stages like the FIFA World Cup to his sold-out solo projects, Jungkook has repeatedly shown the ability to transform high expectations into groundbreaking outcomes. His involvement in Calvin Klein's fashion show is no different. The anticipation is heavy, but so is the belief that he will deliver something unforgettable. And this raises an even larger question. Can one individual redefine the way New York Fashion Week operates? If Calvin Klein chooses to center their show around Jungkook, the answer might be yes. It would signal a shift from fashion shows as insular industry events to fashion shows as global cultural phenomena accessible to millions through the presence of a single figure. It's also important to note that Jungkook's presence at New York Fashion Week transcends fashion itself. For many, it represents cultural recognition. A Korean artist at the heart of American fashion's biggest event highlights the global nature of today's cultural landscape. It proves that influence is no longer confined by geography, and that East Asian figures can command as much, if not more, attention than Western counterparts. This moment also speaks to the evolving relationship between music and fashion. Jungkook embodies both worlds, an artist whose music reaches billions and a fashion icon whose style influences global trends. Calvin Klein's event will not only showcase clothing, but also demonstrate the power of cross-industry synergy, where fashion gains cultural weight through music and music gains visual identity through fashion. As Jungkook's plane touches down in New York, the countdown begins. The fashion industry waits to see whether Calvin Klein will deliver another iconic moment with their global ambassador. Fans wonder how Jungkook will surprise them this time, and media outlets prepare for headlines that will likely dominate the cultural conversation for days. What's certain is this: Jungkook is not merely attending New York Fashion Week, he is reshaping its narrative. His appearance blurs boundaries between industries, nations, and traditions, transforming a routine event into a global cultural milestone. The anticipation is no longer about what Calvin Klein will show. It is about how Jungkook will show it.